Bob. Mr. Robertson. Mic check. You good? Mic 1, 2. Is there a delay?
There's a delay.
Okay.
Just gonna wait for it to come up and we should be good.
Awesome.
So you're online already.
Oh, wow. There's a delay, yeah. About 30-second
It's
delay.
not even 30 seconds, it's like 20.
20? That's not bad. Okay, cool. All right, sounds good. All right, good evening, everybody. We're going to kick this off on behalf of the board. My name is John Frias. I'm the president of Green Valley. I'm going to introduce our board members. We have Vice President Jerry Cumby. We have our Secretary Treasurer Bob Robertson, Ms. Sherry McDaniel, James Hendricks, Nick Sherman, and Britt King. And this board has been working very hard throughout the years on getting a lot of things done correctly for y'all. We appreciate you guys coming tonight and listening to what we have to say. We hope it's educational and informative for you guys. We have done a lot. And Mr. Phil Gage and his team have been tremendous throughout the years. They're gonna showcase some slideshows, some videos, give y'all kind of the future look as to our water inventory, conservation plans, the housing market, what we're gonna be expecting, how we're gonna handle all those situations. And we'll go from there. So Mr. Gage, if you wanna take it away.
Okay, thank you, sir. And so first off, I'd like to thank all you guys for coming out this evening. So what we're going to do tonight, I'm kind of just going to lay out to you what's been going on in Green Valley about over the last 18 months or so. We did a meeting like such as this about a year ago. This is much different. What we're going to show you tonight is what our path ahead is and what we've accomplished and where we're going. So all of you understand kind of where we are. Before I get started, Green Valley's been here for a minute, far longer than me. So Green Valley was started in, 1963. 5 men got together, and I see Mr. Gurman here in the room. I mean, there's family members. There was members of the 5 men that started Green Valley, and so we only hope that we're carrying on the traditions, for what they originally thought, and it was really bring water to, the rural areas. And that's what they did. Started with 150 connections, back in 63. I think that's very important for us just to remember. We didn't grow yesterday. We have a long history and we have deep roots with a lot of our folks. We even have an employee whose family member was on that original board as well. So it's kind of fun and interesting. So tonight, this is although the slide doesn't say agenda, this is exactly kind of what I'm going to talk about. We're going to talk about our strategic plan. So in 2025 last year, the board and the staff, I think it's a little bit too loud on the mic. The board and the staff got together and we put together a strategic plan. And really the strategic plan brought the board and the staff and gave us a unified vision of where we wanted to take Green Valley. And it stated right there, our vision: clean water, reliable people, and superior service. It's easy to remember. I say, water, people, service, that's what it's all about. And our mission is pretty simple there as well. I mean, we've got to deliver water to our customers, and that includes wastewater, so clean water, both wastewater and water. That's what we do. We decided to do this along 4 strategic initiatives, and that's what's listed: modernizing our infrastructure, really important, and our operations, looking after optimizing our water resources, but also working on Green Valley itself, refining our professional culture. So we're a professional organization as we do our jobs. And then finally is engage the community. So what you really got is 4 action words there: modernize, optimize, refine, and engage. And that's what we're aiming to do. And I'm just going to show you a little bit how we've got after that. So we'll walk through all of these things, but before I do, just you all live here, right? So you're kind of familiar with the service area. The map doesn't do it justice. It's hard to see on the screen. That's why we put these big maps outside. If you want to look around and see where our facilities are, where you're located in regard to our facilities, you can see all that. But we have water and wastewater. On the water side, we're all the way up, almost touching Garden Ridge, all the way down south of I-10. Shirts on one side and Seguin on the other. It's about 93,000 acres of area. And just, before I start hitting you with some other stuff, I'm going to give you some quick facts about Green Valley. So we do have 62 employees, and we have 62 authorized positions. That number changes up and down as we go forward. But something I'm really proud of is we have 51 licenses, carried by those 62 individuals. And I'll dive into that a little bit more and tell you what they are. As we stand here today, we're at 20,000 connections. We started in 1963 with about 150. We're at 20,000 connections. A lot of that growth has happened in the last 5 years. And it's just, and everyone sees it, it's no secret, but we're serving water now to over 20,000 connections. Sewer connections, we're up to 2,580, and that's growing quickly. 2,580, that is. That's growing quickly. We do operate 17 facilities. We have one wastewater plant that's doing the service on our sewer right now, but we do have another one that just broke ground that I'll also show you about. In terms of water, we purchase a lot of our water. I'll tell you about that in a little bit in detail, but we do have 4 wells. 3 of those wells are on the Edwards Aquifer, you may hear about quite a bit, and one of those is on the Trinity Aquifer. And I'll show you where those are, as we go through. Just some quick facts about us. Okay, let's go on into the first little section to highlight. I'll just start out by saying this. So we have some elected officials here, in the room with us, and I'm going to do a little video tour for you guys and kind of show you the work that we've been doing in terms of maintenance. So I know anybody affiliated with the city, and I see we have, Brian over here from Cibolo as well. Thank you, sir. There's a problem that municipalities have in political subdivisions, and it's called deferred maintenance. Are y'all familiar with what I'm talking about? That's maintenance that you should be doing, but you decide to do it later for whatever reason. And there's articles written every year, about municipalities and counties and, bigger cities and, even the United States Army, which I used to be in, about deferring maintenance to save money. That's a real thing. So we've decided that we've got too much deferred maintenance in Green Valley, and we wanted to start getting after that. So this is a little slide presentation. I'm going to walk you through with drone footage. We took this drone footage last week, so the sun was not out, thankfully. So it's a little overcast last week, but we put the drone up to get you these footage, and I'm just going to kind of walk you through. And everything I'm going to show you, we've completed a project, hi Wayne, or we have a project in motion. So Ms. Mayor, too, I forgot you back there as well. Okay, so we're starting off up north. We're up on 2252. You were just looking out toward the quarry, and now the camera's panning down to one of our sites that has 3 wells located on it. Just as I was saying, 2 wells are Edwards, and the one in the back that you'll see in the video in a minute is the Trinity well. The 2 Edwards wells are about 260-ish feet deep before it hits the Edwards Aquifer. The Trinity well in the back is much deeper. It's around 650, 600, somewhere in that neighborhood. But anyway, so we call this plant 7, or also well site number 2. So far this year, we've really gone after our wells. Since last time we spoke together, we've actually pulled well 2 out of the ground. You'll see the camera's kind of pointing on it right now. I'd shoot the laser at it, but it'll bounce off and hit you in the eye, so I don't want to do that. But right in the center of the picture, you see that pump sticking out of the ground? That's the actual motor that pumps the well up. That's a brand new motor. So we replaced the motor. We replaced the electrical connections to the side of the motor. We've also installed a pre-lube control valve, which is very important because you lube the well with the water that you get out of the well. And if you don't have a control valve to shut it off, the water just goes back down in the hole. You pumped it for nothing, right? So we're trying to conserve the water that we're pumping out of the ground. Camera just flew over real quick you saw that well that had the pipes beside of it. That's well 3. Well 3's in the shop right now. Those pipes on the side of it was actually the well column that the pump rides within, going down into the well, and it's being rebuilt right now. It's having the stainless steel shaft straightened on it. It's going to have a new motor, a new pump down at the bottom. What you're looking at now is the booster pumps that move the water between the plants. We've also likewise worked on those. And at this site too, you see the bolted steel tank there. It's about a 200,000 gallon tank. When the water comes out of the ground, it's stored in that tank before it's pushed on through those booster pumps to the next destination, whether that be another booster station, whether that be customers on the line, or an elevated storage tank. Now this back well, that's the Trinity well right there. We are scheduled to pull it out of the ground here very shortly this year. As you can see, it doesn't look as clean and new as the other ones. It's probably been in there for about, I don't know, 10 years or so. And we need to pull it out and do maintenance on it. So that's the next one. So all said and done, this is where a lot of the water that enters the northern part, the Garden Ridge part of our service area, and down into the northern parts of Cibolo comes from this plant. So that's 3 wells right there on that plant, Edwards Aquifer and the Trinity Aquifer. So if we slide down, we're going to push over to the west, to the east from here. You can see the quarry side again up toward Garden Ridge. And then this is our last well in our system. We call this Plant 8. It's got 1 well on the Edwards Aquifer that's back in the corner there. We'll drill into it. We've done a lot of work on Plant 8 just this year. That well likewise got pulled out of the ground and serviced, new pump, new column for the well pump. We also replaced the motor on it, new electrical systems, new control devices we call SCADA. That was all done at this place. And then as the camera pans down, you see the concrete building right there. Sucker was probably built in 65, 70. I don't know when it was built, but it's built to last. If there was a tornado, you want to be in that building. It's got a concrete roof and everything on it. Inside that building is, yes, ma'am. So that motor, I don't know, let me see what we put in there. Let me see if I have it on my notes. Let me see. Is that about a 50? It's probably about a 50. Don't quote me. I didn't write it down in my notes. What's that? So the way these things are built, without making me a well digger, because I'm not, but the way these things are built, they have something called spider gears that run down. There's a stainless steel shaft. Those spider gears help dampen the vibration of the well. So, yeah. We don't, are you asking, do we monitor it or something? With probes? No, we don't. Yeah, they got a dampener on it. Yeah. Anyway, so that well's brand new. One thing I wanted to point out on that well, though, is you see that little solar panel that's sitting there beside the well? That solar panel powers a metering device that Edwards Aquifer has on our wells. So we can't overpump the aquifer based on what we have rights for. Anyway, inside that concrete building, we just replaced 2 new split case pumps in that building. Those pumps pump to the distribution system and sends water, down from where they're located up at Garden Ridge on down, to Cibolo Valley Drive and other places. But this is Plant 7. It's up by Garden Ridge. Quite considerable amount of work. I failed to say too. What's that? Plant 8. I'm sorry. Did I say Plant 7? I failed to say too that we completely rewired that old building. I mean, the wiring was all bad in it. We completely rewired it. So a lot of work, all constitutes deferred maintenance that we took care of.
We're adding a generator for redundancy too.
Oh yeah, and I forgot, we are adding a generator to this project too. That contract was let this year. Yes, sir.
What percentage of water do we provide ourselves?
I got a slide on that in a minute. Hold that question and I'll show you exactly how much we pumped last year. Let's go ahead and fly on down to, let's go on down to, okay, we're coming down to Green Valley Road. So we're coming from the north to the south. This is Green Valley Road, and we have a ground storage tank as part of our Plant 1 elevated storage tank. And this is it. And I don't know if you've ever driven past it, but this tank is on the right side of the road as you're going to the east. On the left side of the road, there's an elevated storage tank. So this this tank is obviously looks like it's just been painted, right? It has been. That was one of our maintenance projects. And it's called recoating. It's very much different. You can't go to Home Depot and buy a can of paint and paint these things. They have to be coated, has to be inspected, has to be safe for potable water. And we did that, completely sandblasted it down to bare metal, repair any of the rust or damage inside the tank, then it gets recoated. Also at this site, we've also included and upgraded the pumps. As you can see, right in the shadow of that other little concrete building, there's some pumps there. Those have likewise been upgraded and replaced. And so that provides water to pretty much around Green Valley Road area and into Cibolo. So we're going to come on down to the south a little further, and we're looking at Cibolo now. You can see Cibolo's, we're looking to the south, you can see Cibolo's tower, their elevated storage tank, and we're coming down on Plant 9. Is everybody familiar with this off Cibolo Valley? Okay, so we are doing a considerable amount of work at this site. Some of it's completed already, and some of it's going to be in the near future. The main thing we've done that is completed right now is we replaced the motors on the pumps that are in that little building at the bottom of the screen. We replaced them with variable frequency drive motors, which is a heck of an upgrade from motors that are only on and off. You know, the speed can speed up and slow down. It's like a ceiling fan with a rheostat where you can speed it and slow it down. Big improvement. It extends the life of the motors. It eases the electrical load into the motor, but also provides clean power as well. All of that is what they do. There's 2 smaller pumps and 2 larger pumps underneath that little shed you're looking at. All of them are being replaced to include what we call the pump can. It's the bottom of the pump as it sits there. All of that's been replaced. The big news about this plant on Cibolo Valley Drive is we're at the 100% design level to bring in a 1 million gallon elevated storage tank there. It'll look much like a tank I'll show you in a minute that's down here on Stagecoach Road. This is really going to upgrade the system in many ways. It's going to change the skyline of Cibolo a little bit, but it's going to make sure that we get the old tower that served us well, 300,000 gallons sitting there. She's going to be retired, and she'll be taken down and replaced by, a modern, composite tower, the ones that you see around everywhere. So that's a big deal. We anticipate going out for bid this summer on it, so that would be a very good thing. Travis, you have something?
No, I didn't have anything.
Okay.
We're also doing a 500,000 gallon ground storage tank there to add to capacity.
Yep.
And Mr. Gage mentioned we are looking to go out to start that project this summer. One thing we are going after is the state legislator has opened up $1 billion in money from a grant, and we will be trying to seek money to do this project. So hopefully we can get some build a new ground storage tank.
Yeah, get some grant money in the district, and that'd be a good thing. Just heading on down the tour, let's go on down to Wild Road. So this is Wild Road looking north. And as we come down into view, this is what we call Plant 11 off of Wild Road. This is really just a booster station plant, and it's almost like a heartbeat of our district. I mean, it's sitting really in the center. We could push a lot of water, a lot of directions in our distribution system with this. This plant is actually fed by a dedicated fill line that comes off of Wagner. If you ever drove on 78, you drive by, between Marion and Cibolo, got those big old concrete 2 million gallon tanks. That's Wagner Booster Station, Canyon Regional Water Authority. The line comes directly from there over to Plant 11. What we're looking at right there at the top of the screen, that is a brand new 500,000 gallon concrete storage tank. To the left of it is a sister. It was the existing tank, and we've added to it. So we now have 1 million gallons of storage up there. And inside that building, there's 4 pumps in that building right there that we just replaced, high service pumps. We upgraded the electrical from 230 volts to 460 volts. We've upgraded the motors to 40 horsepower from 25 horsepower. And so we've really got a powerhouse sitting in our distribution system right there. This project is in the closeout phase. As you can see, a bunch of construction debris and everything on to the right of the shot there. The contractors are just finishing up and got to clean up their material and return the site to as they found it. But this is a good project for us right there on Wild Road. Another 500,000 gallons into our system. Now I'm going to fly us down to, yes, sir. Say again? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yes, sir. You see that little green little thingy? Yep, there's the generator. We could do, I'll repeat the question. It's probably, yeah. I'll repeat the question. The question was there a generator? Yes. We're recording, so we want to make sure we got everything. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Is that all budgeted for like Q1?
Yep.
Done within the first?
It has not. A lot of these projects, you know how contracting works. Sometimes your contract crosses over fiscal years. All of the projects were either budgeted originally in 25 and then are now budgeted in 26. The well sites that I showed you, all of those were started in 26 and finished in 26. So for example, back on Plant 7, I was telling you about well 1 at Plant 7. It was pulled and refurbished. That started in October. As soon as the fiscal year changed in October, that was a 26 project finished in 26. So yes, sir, that's a good distinction. I'll show you a chart here in a second. Okay, we're going to fly down now to, we're down on Stagecoach Road now, looking north kind of where we're standing right now. And Stagecoach Road now looks nice and smooth and with a painted line in the center of it, so that looks fantastic. Thank you very much, Guadalupe County. Okay, this is Plant 3. Plant 3 is likewise getting a lot of work to it. So Plant 3 has got a tower that you will see when we upgrade Plant 9 on Cibolo Valley Road. This is a newer tower for us. And this site also has 2 ground storage tanks. It also has booster pumps there as well. And the camera's going to kind of hover at the top of the tank. And you see some antennas up there. It'll move up in a second. There's a skinny antenna off to the kind of right side of the picture. And what we're doing, the reason why I want to highlight this is something called automated meter infrastructure, AMI. So we're upgrading our infrastructure by putting antennas on our elevated storage tanks that can read meters without meter guys having to drive through neighborhoods and do the old radio read method. And so this is a big initiative for us. Right now, we have 5 of these antennas up in service. We can read about 86% of our water meters in the district. We have 2 more, we have 7 now. I'm sorry, we have 7 antennas. We have 2 more that we're going to install in this amended budget that we just did in May. That'll bring us up to a total of 9, and hopefully we can get closer to the 100% mark. When we get to the 100% mark, we're going to be able to deploy some things that we think is going to be very useful to our customers. One of those is we'll be able to see real time what your meter reading is in real time. That requires some software, but before it does that, it requires the hardware to actually communicate with the meter. So we're in the phase of getting the hardware put in so we could do that. Plant 3 also has some other things going on with it. We have a backup generator contract that was just let, as Travis alluded to earlier, to get a backup generator here. We don't have a generator now, but we certainly will. And then also I already mentioned that we upgraded the pumps there. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. And I'll just repeat for the thing, Mr. Gurman, our County Commissioner Precinct 4, just informed us of where the road stopped at on Stagecoach Road, right in front of the Stetson Ridge. It will be continued with support from the developer onto FM 465. Thank you, sir. That's all we have for Plant 3. I'm going to get off of water for a minute. I'm going to talk about wastewater for a minute, and I'm going to fly you down to Santa Clara. This is Santa Clara Treatment Plant. We're looking really, you see the Stagecoach Tower right there. We're looking toward Marion, up 465. That's I-10. And then here's Santa Clara Wastewater Treatment Plant. Now, Santa Clara Wastewater Treatment Plant is not, a maintenance item that you mentioned, sir, previously. This is a capital item that we have recently installed. The plant on your left, we just cut the ribbon on with great support from the chamber and many folks just this year. What you're looking at on the left is a 500,000 gallon per day treatment plant. The plant kind of in the bottom of the picture now was our original plant and is 250,000 gallons a day. So total treatment capacity at Santa Clara today is 750,000 gallons, or we like to say 0.75 MGD is our term of reference, how we talk about it. I think it's a really cool picture. This is an activated sludge plant. And if you look, when we were filming the videos, there's a couple of our folks up there. I think that's actually Claire and RJ on top of the plant. And they were doing some maintenance work there on top of the plant. So that's Santa Clara. Santa Clara will be expanded yet again into the future. We're looking at a 1.25 expansion or a 1,250,000 gallon per day expansion. And that'll bring us up to a total capacity of 2 million gallons per day at this site. We expect later this year for the plans to be done. We're just crossing our 60% design threshold. We have our 90% design milestone coming up later this summer. And then we'll look at go to bid, getting close to end of first quarter this fiscal year, October, November-ish timeframe. That's where our planning horizon is for Santa Clara, and it'll continue to expand as we support additional sewer customers coming into the area. Last picture we're going to fly further south. We're off of Stepler Road, south of Abbott Road. The camera's coming down, it's looking north. And this is a Clearwater Creek treatment plant. This is kind of between Trainer Hale and Stepler Road, south of Abbott. And there's quite a bit of construction going on around Trainer Hale area. This treatment plant is what's going to serve that area and sewer. This is a 200,000 gallon per day plant. As you can see, they're digging the foundations to put the plant on it. It would look almost exactly like the smaller plant in the previous video clip. It's just a vision of what it would look like. But that's pretty much taking you from north to south. Major construction items that's going on related to our distribution and our sewer system. And the majority of those, before I got to the sewer, are all maintenance items. And so now here's the numbers. You were asking about how we did this. So what we have this year, we break up our maintenance into sustainment funding. We call it sustainment and restoration, right? We do it in two types. Part of it's focused on the water distribution system, which is the pipes in the ground that brings the water through your neighborhoods. And the rest of it is, we call it water plant. And that's our wells. That's also our storage facilities, our elevated storage tanks, our ground storage tanks. So what we've done in 26, we have a total of 11 projects that are plant sustainment projects. Many of those I showed you, pumps, wells, motors, electrical SCADA systems. That's all included in that. And then the water distribution portion of it, that's pipes in the ground, replacing pipes. One of the projects, for instance, is upgrading a pipe, replacing an old pipe over in a Happy Haven area near McQueenie. That's what a large part of that cost is. So all said and done, $3.81 million is what we're spending on maintenance. And all of this maintenance is make sure that we don't have a deferred maintenance problem far into the future. This cost is part of the rate structure. The $3.1 million is part of the rate structure. Building the Santa Clara treatment plant is not part of the rate structure. It's a completely different revenue stream that takes care of things like that. But in existing facilities, when we do maintenance on those, that's what your water rates go to pay. And we're making sure that we do that and spend it wisely to get our equipment operating where it needs to be. This next chart is the other category. And this is capital improvement projects. We have a water master plan that lays out over the next 10 years. There's $164 million worth of infrastructure that has to be built. And that's a staggering number, but just remember that's over 10 years. All of these projects listed here for a total of $10 million is what we're currently executing in FY26. These are your big problems. You see Plant 9, I spoke about on Civilo Valley Road, project number 17. That's one of these projects. So that project's actually going to be, costs going to be defrayed on that through capital revenue, because what happens is the number of homes outgrew the water tower, right? So we need a bigger water tower to support that growth. Good news is that revenue comes in and developers pay that revenue to help us build the infrastructure so the ratepayer doesn't have to do it. So all of this $10 million right here comes from revenue that we collect through our various fees that developers pay. Make sense? Okay, cool. I'm going to keep pressing. Next thing I'm going to talk about is our water resources. So, our strategic plan talks about optimizing our water resources. So we'll talk about that for a minute, but I'm going to start out, we have some terms of art in the water industry, and I always get told if we talk in terms of acre feet, right? So what is an acre foot, right? It's a very common question lots of folks ask. So I try to explain it the best I can. An acre foot is an acre covered by a foot of water, right? So what's it equivalent to? So I have a cartoon here. So if you think about a football field without the end zones is about 1.1 acres, right? So close to an acre for our purposes. If you cover it with 1 foot of water, that's what an acre foot would look like, right? So a football field covered with water for 1 foot, minus the end zones. So that's how much it is, but that's not extremely useful to you, right? I didn't think it was either, but so I think this is a little bit more useful. So an acre foot of water with Green Valley's, our planning factors would support about 2.5 homes for 1 year. If that makes, I think that makes a little bit more sense because, 2 houses, 2.5 houses use 1 acre foot of water. That's basically it. We use a factor of 0.4 acre feet a year per home. That's where we get 2.5. It's rough math, but that's what it is. If you really want to be precise, an acre foot's roughly 325,851 gallons. Yeah, it doesn't work for me either. You got to do math, right? It's the way it is. But that's an acre foot of water. Everything we talk about is acre foot of water in a year. That's just kind of that's how the industry describes water. A lot of folks go in million gallons per day, but acre foot per year is more helpful because that's how we actually buy our water from our suppliers is in acre feet. Okay, so your water, we talked about the wells. You had a question earlier, sir, about where's the water come from, or how much percentage we use. Okay, so our sources are we have a diversified portfolio, really. We don't get all our water off Edwards. Green Valley, matter of fact, doesn't get a lot of water off Edwards. But we have Edwards as a source, we have Trinity as a source, and then we have the Carrizo Aquifer as a source as well. We do have a bit of surface water. We're not dependent on surface water very much either, but we do have some surface water in inventory. I'll show you the numbers on the next page. We have ownership stakes in some water wholesale supplier organizations. One of those is the Canyon Regional Water Authority. It's located off of Lakeside Pass over on 725. That's our main water supplier, wholesale water supplier. We also have a second one called Alliance Regional Water Authority. That's another wholesale water supplier that kind of spun off of Canyon Regional in just very general terms several years ago. And we also do some water purchases from Guadalupe Blanco River Authority, but not very much. But that's where our water comes from. 2 sources, groundwater and surface water. And then here's the numbers for the year. Yes, sir. So the Carrizo water's out of Gonzales County. That's where the question was, where are the Carrizo wells? We don't have a Carrizo well. Our wholesaler has a Carrizo well, and it's in Gonzales County. It's called the Wells Ranch Facility. That's where we get it from. So on this chart right here, our total water supply groundwater is 8,619 acre feet. It's up at the top of this chart there. And then of that, you were asking about Edwards. And total Edwards, we have roughly 2,000 acre feet per year off of Edwards. So that's what's in our inventory. That's not what we use, but that's what our inventory is. And down at the bottom, we have 2,800 acre feet per year in that pie chart that's surface water. So that didn't mean much to you, but if you look at the chart in the lower right, that probably does. So the percent of water that we use off of Edwards, groundwater that we pump, is 10% out of our total percentage. The total we used all of last year in 25 was 6,911 acre feet in 1 year. That supported 19,700 connections when we ended December of 25. So, just roughly, it takes about 7,000 acre feet to support about 20,000 connections. That's what we did based on our actual consumption in 25. Yes, sir.
I was curious about percentage of water that we generate
Mhm.
compared to water used.
Yes, sir. So that's it. So our total water used in 25 was 6991. What we produced between the Trinity and the Edwards is 11%. 10% Edwards, 1% on Trinity. The majority of the water comes from, the little green category, that 50% right there. And then that's the total. The 39% is CRWA. CRWA being our water wholesaler. So that's how we use. The number in the top of the chart, 15,145.69, that's how much water we own. We only use about half of what we own. Does that make sense?
Where do the restrictions come in? We have so much
Mhm.
availability of water, and how do we so quick now
Mhm.
compared to past years that last all year long?
Mhm.
So we conserve water, which
You want to come work for me? But you're exactly right. I'm just joking. You're exactly right. So we have a water conservation plan that moves through stages, relatively quickly. I'm going to show you in a minute that we're adjusting that plan. But you're exactly right. So we own 15,145 acre feet of water, right? Certain sources do curtail water. Edwards is very, well known for curtailing water, right? So Edwards is in stage 2 as stage 3 as of today, which means a 20%, 35% reduction in what you can pump. Then you also have GBRA at Canyon Lake. They also are in I think they're in stage 2 right now at the moment. And they don't have mandatory reductions until they get to stage 4. So when your water supply is reduced, we have to reduce demand. And so our water supply will be reduced. So even though we own 15,145 of water, we do wholesale some of that water to other entities because we don't obviously have a need for it. So we're saving the district money by short-term leasing it to other entities. But at the same time, we have enough of a buffer when our suppliers cause a curtailment that we still have plenty of water, but there is the need to conserve, if that makes sense. But I'm going to tell you a little bit about the new water conservation plan in a moment. Very good. Thanks, sir. Okay, what about the future water supply? There's a lot of discussion, particularly in the state of Texas. The Texas Water Conference was just this week in San Antonio, and up there with a lot of peers and colleagues, and something that's on everybody's mind, particularly in Central Texas area, is future water supply, and it's in our mind too. And so one of the things with our water supply the way it is currently at the moment, we're fine. We're not fine in about 15 or so years. So it's our goal to develop 10,000 acre feet of water in the next 10 years. And it's been part of our strategic plan, and that's absolutely the target that we're shooting for, is to have a water inventory about 10,000 acre foot larger by 2040, which is 25,000 acre feet over the 15 that we have today. And why is that necessary? I mean, it's just because there's so much growth around here. If you don't, it takes so long to build a water project and so much cost that you have to get ahead of it. You can't wait until you need water. And so that's what we're working on. We have 3 partners that we're currently working with right now, but that's a strategic goal. Our board really had the great foresight to establish a water acquisition committee. We call it the Strategic Water Acquisition Committee. Mr. John Frias, our president, chairs that board or that committee for us. And we actively seek partnerships and develop future water projects to the best we can. And we're shooting toward that goal of 10,000. Yes, sir.
14 years, how many homes
Mhm.
are planning or thinking, budgeting for? Because
Mm-hmm.
include the data center
Yes, sir.
happening out.
Yes, sir. That's a great question. So what our growth looks like right now is about 1,000 homes a year. How many homes are out there remaining per our water master plan is about 11,500 that's out there on contract right now that we know are coming. And so those are the figures that we're using to plan for it. I'll show you in a little bit later. I'll actually pull up a chart that shows you that chart. But our water master plan is actually published on our webpage, and it's a lot of detailed information in there about how we calculate, what's our growth look like, how many homes are under contract right now. It's all in the master plan. I'll show you how to get there. Yes, sir.
Acquisition, is that centered on surface water projects?
No, sir. Future acquisitions, it's a combination, right? Out of our partners listed on that screen, Grotto, GBRA, that would be a surface water project. Nueces River Authority, if their project comes through, that would be a ocean desalinization project. And then Canyon Regional Water Authority will be a groundwater project. So it's across all water sources is what we're looking at. Yes, sir. Okay, I'll keep trucking on. Okay, and a little bit about the drought contingency plan. I told you we'd talk about this. So our drought contingency plan is somewhat clunky. We've had it for a few years, and the board, decided that we needed to take a look at it. So we established a board committee. It's called the Strategic Water Conservation Committee, and Mr. Jared Cumby, our vice president, chairs that committee. And we've undertaken a complete relook at how we approach water conservation in terms of your standard stages that everyone's used to. We're in stage 2 now, reducing irrigation and those sorts of things in stage 2. We're coming up with a completely different approach that doesn't necessarily look at our water suppliers, which is what we're basing our droughts on now. We look at our water supply and total. And it's a different approach. It has some different incentives that we're putting into this plan. I'm not prepared to share it with you tonight because our approach is a little bit unique. We shipped it off to the Texas Water Development Board to ensure that we meet all their regulatory requirements. It's under review. It went back to them last week on the 23rd, actually. April 23rd, it went back up to the Texas Water Development Board for their review. We're going to take their input. The committee's going to meet again, and at some point coming soon, our target is sometime this summer is to get our new conservation plan out there, which will adjust how we approach our stages, what measures we take in our stages, and how we incentivize and de-incentivize, overuse in water in times of need. That's very much an ongoing project, and I wish we had it to lay out for you tonight, but we don't want to do it and make sure our regulators understand what we're doing before we could carry it on. Yes, sir. Are we selling reserves? No, sir. So I always maintain if we make any decision to lease water to another entity, we always maintain a reserve. We don't sell our reserves, if I understood your question right. Yes, sir. So the question was, do we sell excess water inventory? Yes, sir, we do. We lease it, not sell it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we do. Yes, sir, we do have leases currently. I misunderstood your question. I thought you said reserves. That's a great question. We're in a stage because our water suppliers and our current plan says we're in a stage. Because our current stages are based on our water suppliers, Edwards, GBRA. And you see my point? So our new conservation plan is going to look at our total inventory, not just a supplier. So, because I'll give you an example. Since we only get 10% of our Edwards in our usage last year, why would we go to a stage 4 when Edwards goes? The majority of our water is not on the Edwards. And that's the problem with our current conservation plan. But we have to follow that plan until we adopt a new one. The new one's on the way. Yes, sir.
Regarding the water leasing and the gentleman's question, if we reduce product we're leasing to other entities, does that change our conservation plan?
Yes, sir. So if you ever look in our board packet, and I'll show you how to do that, every month our operations officer lays out our total water inventory, what's leased, what's curtailed, like what we don't have access to. And we make sure those numbers don't get close together. So we always have a reserve of water if we need it. Does that make sense? But it's in every single board packet that gets published every month. I'll show you how to get there. But that's a great question. But that information is available, and we talk about it every month. I've only got 2 more things to do it, and I'm going to do this relatively quickly so we can get to more of your questions. Our next thing is really important to me. It's about refining the organizational's professional culture. And there's a few things I want to say about the water industry that you may or may not know. But number one, it's a profession. It's not a job. It's a profession. The guys that come out there and read your meters, that repair leaks, that treat our water, treat our wastewater, it's most definitely a profession. And it's a profession in this sense. It is because, number one, you have to have a licensure. We have an oversight body. You have to have a license. Number 2, we have a professional language that sometimes only we can understand, right? Number 3, we have to operate autonomously. Our young men and women are out in the field, and they're making decisions, working with customers by themselves under their licensure. All of those things together, and lastly, is we serve people. That's the only thing that we do. We're out here to serve our customers. So it's not just a job, it's a profession. And we work hard on this within Green Valley because we want to make sure that we're doing the best things for the right reasons, for our customers. And something I'm really proud of, we've started this over the last 2 years. You are required to have a license by the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality. You have to have a license. But not everyone was licensed. Well, we've embarked upon a program to make sure that all of our guys do carry the appropriate license. And so we've increased up to 51 licenses. And this is not an easy task, but there's different classes of license. Class D would be considered entry level, Class C basic level, Class B intermediate level, and Class A is your advanced, your highest level. And so what we've done here on the water side, we have 3 Class A licenses. They are not easy to get. You have to have years of service before you even qualify to take the test, right, Andrew? You agree, right? He's a Class A license right there. Anyway, so it's a tough, and it's a big achievement. Class B, similarly, you got to have years of experience. You got to take classes, Class C's, and then Class D's. So that's our status. I'm really proud of this. If you ever observe one of our board meetings, I always recognize our people when they get a license right here in front of the board because it's that important. I just want you all to know, as the public and the customers, that we are striving to ensure that we have the right qualifications to do the work that we're doing. It's very important to us, and I'm very proud of it. So I had to brag for a minute. My apologies. Anyway, and then we're also, as an organization, we're reaching out across our state. We bound together with Green Valley's the 4th largest special utility district in the state of Texas, if you didn't know that. We bound together with some other big special utility districts, Mustang, Sud, Green Valley, East Central, which is down 775 down here off of 87, and Johnson County Sud. We bound together and we determined that we need to have an association of the larger SUDs so we can start trying to lead this conversation about water in the state. Special utility districts are pretty interesting because we're not cities, we're not counties. We don't tax. All we do is water. All we do is sewer. That's what we're here for. We don't have a great voice in some of the legislation that gets passed, and we don't have a mechanism to carry some of your concerns, as ratepayers and citizens, up to the legislature. So we created the Texas Alliance of Special Utility Districts to do just that. We bound together. We're recruiting larger like-minded SUDs, and we're engaging the legislature on things that matter to ensure that the rural areas which we live in that are quickly growing don't get left, without any water in the watering trough for us. And so that's what this is all about. So this is Green Valley leading at the state level as well, and I think it's something important to let you guys know as we're talking about refining our professional culture and leading actually across our state. Last one I'm going to talk about is one of my favorite, and that's engage the community, and this is the last chart, and we'll just handle questions from here on out. But it's really all about the community. Green Valley does a lot of things out there, and we're working to do a lot more. And what we want to do is get out and engage with, several of our partners around here and give back to the community, that we're dedicated to serving. And this is just a laundry list of things that we have done and are wanting to continue to do more of. But just, we do have a scholarship program now that we begun in Green Valley. First year is this year. We're going to award the first recipients coming up here in May. We've done a couple of great job shadow days, which are just really fantastic. We're trying to get, high school kids and cooperating with their CTE programs interested in the water industry, because it's going to be around. The water industry is going nowhere. We all got to have water for a very long time. We're trying to get the youngsters interested in what could be a really rewarding career for them. And so we did just this last month, we did a job shadow day here at Green Valley, brought several high schoolers in from Seguin and Marion. Blood drives, food banks, Christmas parades, we love that. We love doing the Christmas parades. Touch truck event, charitable donations. We also, just this Friday actually, we're working with a job day, a career day at Marion Primary, just this week. So we enjoy doing stuff like that. Our employees enjoy volunteering their time and getting out there and trying to educate people and really create interest in working in this industry. So that's what we're doing. There's some numbers on the chart. We do have a charitable donation policy, and this is what we budget for it every year. The numbers up there are kind of what we've donated to date to this year. The good news is we do really well with our investments, and we're able to take some of our investment income and put back in the community and put back into Green Valley, which is the community. So we think it's a great thing, and it's all about it. Great partnerships with the Marion Chamber, the Chamber, New Braunfels Chamber. We do all of that stuff. So it's just really important. We're actively trying to engage the community, and we like to put ourselves out there and do events like this. Be complete transparent with you guys to the best we can, and that's what we want to do. Okay, how did I stay informed? I was telling you about the board packets agenda. This is our website. It's pretty easy, gvsud.org. Go to it. There's a little book in the middle that says agenda. You open that thing up. Every single agenda packet, every single item put in front of the board will be published at least a week prior. Not just the agenda, the whole board packet will be published. You'll be able to see it by Friday. Our meetings are on Thursday. You'll be able to see it the week prior. So everything is published there. We really like being transparent about every single document our board sees and takes action on. So you can see it all right there. The operations report I was talking about, you can go back and look at months and months of those if you'd like to get a picture of exactly what we're using every month. It's all in that report. And this just is me. I'm Phil. I'm the general manager. That's my cell phone there. You can call me directly. Anybody take my cards, you can call me, email me, and I'll be glad to get right back with you best I can. And then finally, we've done a lot of questions en route, but we'd like to have question time. So I'll hand it back over to Mr. Frias, our president. And thank you for your attentiveness. We'll answer your questions now.
Great presentation. Yeah, it's so overall, thank you very much for putting that together, staff, team. You guys did a great job on that. Phil, surprised you didn't take a drink in the middle of all that. So good job. I know we had some questions during the presentation, but if you have any more that we didn't address or calling out, answering, if you want to come up to the mic, we have time to talk and open the floor to y'all so y'all can get your questions and concerns addressed. So, anybody? Come on. If you want to come up to the mic so that, well, the public can't hear you who's watching on the video, so thank you. Is a green button on there? Thank you.
I live in Santa Clara, been there 25 years. And our insurance, as everybody knows on our homes, is ridiculous and getting more ridiculous. And part of the problem is access to a fire hydrant. Now, the closest fire hydrant to me is up on Santa Clara Road, which is over 1,500 feet from my house, which I'm getting surcharged for because they're saying I don't have reasonable access to water in the event of a fire. And I've seen a master plan talking about doing something regarding, and I don't even know if that fire hydrant, it's painted black. Is it a hot fire hydrant?
Travis.
So if it's painted, oh, you take it? Or you gonna take it? So with it painted black means it's not serviceable to a fire truck. So a fire truck, it doesn't have sustained pressure for a fire truck. So if a fire truck were to hook up to it, it would collapse the line.
What's the purpose of it then?
I don't know. I can't
So
really
it's the
answer.
washout. If we
Yeah,
have to
it
do a
was probably-
flush or something like that, if contaminated water or anything like happens, we open the valves, drain, let the line, clean it up.
So more than likely, a long time ago, instead of putting a temporary blow-off hydrant, which is basically a pipe that sticks out, they probably installed a fire hydrant. And the reason we paint them black is so a fire truck does not pull up, hook up to it and cause an even larger problem.
So
And
what is the current plan for getting us, I noticed when they did the big development down there near City Hall, there may have been some cooperation with the developer or whatever, because there are fire hydrants there, but we have basically nothing, so.
So I've got great news for you. There is a there's a development that's going in on 725 or 78, sorry, 78, and I believe it's Santa Clara Road in the sorry, I'm pulling up my map. And so the project you probably looked at on our master plan, that development to get water to them, they are required to put that line in. And so when they put that line in, it will have capacity for fire flow and fire height.
5 years.
Well, depending on how fast they move. So they could move faster on the development than our master plan says. And if they do move faster, the line will be put in faster because they're required to pay for it to have service. And so when that line comes in, there will be a fire hydrant every 500 feet. So
Can you use the mic so that the recording can hear, please?
it's the,
frontal side of St.
Can y'all use the mic so that it's recorded, please?
Side is that?
Well,
Help me out.
my property line, actually, the Santa Clara actually ends about halfway through my property, and so behind me is county.
On which side of the Santa Clara?
I'm south of Santa Clara.
South of Santa Clara, east or? Look at Santa Clara, you east or
I'm
west?
west of 78. Santa Clara Road north.
I need a map. I would say Cibolo side. Fire department, because on your insurance, our fire trucks carry water in their belly, and that can help you, and we are first responders in that area. So if your fire insurance is high, you can check with the fire chief in the city.
And sir, let me make another suggestion. I don't know that we're going to be able to answer your specific question in the moment because we do need to review maps. Our district engineer, Travis Basham, would be
I
happy
can
to help,
provide you a
help you. We'll get your contact information together so that, a detailed answer to your specific question can be researched and
I know there's a big subdivision that's on the grid at Dennis Dreyer's place, which is, right up the road from me, and I don't know if that's a 2-year, 3-year, 5-year, whatever. But they're gonna need, I'm assuming with the development that they're gonna have some kind of, fire system, water system, because
Right.
they're gonna
We
tie into
require
your,
that. We
to your water
require
line
for them
and
to
all
put that in there.
So,
So
yeah.
when, as growth continues to build out, any lines that aren't at that standard, we're making sure that they meet that standard, not only for them, but for everybody else around them. I'm also in that same situation. I'm on Lower Hackerville Road. I don't have a fire hydrant near me. It's another 1.5 miles before I get to that. So I feel your pain on that end. So
you're correct too. The development I was talking about is the one on Mr. Dreyer's property. So they will be required to upgrade the lines in the area to provide fire flow to them.
Yeah, I went to the meeting over
Mhm.
But
Yeah,
also,
we try to, the board always asks this question every time we bring in a new development. One of the main questions that's asked is fire flow provided? And we, along with the county, make sure that fire flow is met for any new development that comes in and any offsite improvement that's needed to get to
But
it.
we don't determine where the fire
No,
hydrants
we
go.
don't.
That's in answer to your question. We don't determine where fire hydrants go. But we're just required to make sure that if a line is in, that it has enough pressure to service one if it was intended for firefighting, which sounds like the one close to you is not.
And the only other question I have is how many current, I guess you'd say, homes have already been approved by Green Valley to have access to water as of right now that are probably projected, say, for the rest of this year? So I know with all the budgeting going on, I saw a thing that said there's like 15,000 homes that are on the grid. So those have already all been approved already?
yeah,
Yes, sir.
we're gonna pull up a map or a chart that shows the growth pattern. So year over year, we're projecting 6% growth rate. And the chart that they're gonna pull up will show the incline of inventory based on where the relation is to population density.
Yep.
Based on the contracts and everything that we're approving. So we're not approving things going in debt or in the negative on water inventory.
Right.
And then also to your previous point, leasing out, we only lease out to New Braunfels Utility and the city of Kyle. And we're making sure that if there's water that is never going to be used at our current rate of usage, we're making sure somebody else is also helping our current ratepayers by paying off that debt. Because it's a use or lose. Either, I mean, the ratepayers are paying for that to the point where how do we budget accordingly to make sure you're not paying for everything? If we can offload some of that we properly can while still maintaining our reserves and proportionally even with curtailment, we're still in that safe area. So if we have excess that we know we're not going to need, let's get some money from that to pay down our debt obligations to make sure that we don't roll that over to our customers.
It just seems very
So-
concerning for, and I'm sure there's other people in this room that have
Mm-hmm.
been here at least, my time or
Mhm.
further, that it's almost like we're being punished for all the new development and growth coming in because I've been using you guys since,
Mhm.
since 2001. And in the last 5 years, we've just blown, and so now all of a sudden we're growing at a rate we never,
So-
comprehended before,
So I'll touch on that real quick. So the past few years, 2021 through 2020, right? Or 2001, so what you referred to, right? To 2020. The prices of our rates and fees were designed to be really low, and that attracted a lot of the growth, right? So that was a problem already.
Yeah.
In the past 3 years, we've raised developer fees at the max legal level to slow down growth.
Apparently it's not.
It is. To some extent, it is. But also, we're making sure that the growth is paying for growth. We're making sure the ratepayers that have been here aren't paying for the infrastructure that needs to be going in to handle that growth. They're going to pay for their own stuff. So we cleaned up that whole mess. And you can look at our audit reports. Everything is very clean. We're flying colors. No remarks. Thank you, Gina. But again, also to the other point, with growth, if a subdivision does not come in, that money that we would charge them, the fees, the impact fees, all the other stuff that comes along with it, they're not going to pay for that line, or they're not going to build that infrastructure to get you that fire hydrant. So I know a lot of people are anti-growth. I respect that. But also comes with that is the lack of infrastructure that they are going to pay for. So if you want that fire hydrant, people like on Dennis Dryer's property, if they buy it and they build on it, well, they're going to get you your fire hydrant. So it's a double-edged sword on that end. But to your point, if we can pull up that chart real quick,
Well, I think you're talking about how many homes are on contract. I'll show you that first.
but the water inventory
Just
ratio.
because of the massive growth that we're all
Yeah.
dealing with out here,
Mhm.
those of us that have been here don't want to see any more of it,
Yeah.
and it's just, I know we
Yeah.
can't stop it to a certain degree,
Right.
but it's at a much larger scale than I think anybody even comprehended 10
Yeah.
years ago,
Well, so the chart that I got up there for you right now, 11,949. That's the number of homes on contract. That's from page 18 of our water master plan. That's the number of homes that is coming. So if we have 20,000 connections today, just over, We've already got contracts for the next 10 grand right there. We'll be over 30,000 connections. Now it's the speed at which, when those homes are built is what we don't know, right? But what we have to do is make sure that we get ahead of it, i.e. have our CIP plan correct. And last year, the reason why we did an amendment to our CIP plan was to make sure, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe, and Travis can yell at me if I'm wrong, there is a CIP plan for that line on Santa Clara. And it being in the CIP opens the door for us to have a developer, when they buy a piece of property, to do that plan. We can require them to do that CIP project in order to get the infrastructure that we need. So it's a double-edged sword, but that's the number. That's in our master plan that's on our website right now. Now, the chart that Mr. Frias was talking about is kind of what is hard to read on the screen. I'm sorry for that. It looks like a big mountain of blue. But you can see when we set our goal to go from 15,000 acre foot inventory to 25,000 acre foot inventory, very hard to see there on the bottom, but the last year is 2040. And you see at 2040, if we grow at 8%, we have to have 23,000 acre feet of water. Right now, we're not growing at 8%. We're growing at about 5.5, 5.85, right? But it still equates to about 1,000 to 1,100 new homes being built in a year. So that's the reason why we're taking this long vision. And I do commend you if you want to do some, okay, if you're not an engineer, you might get a little boring, right, when you read the water master plan. But I mean, it's on the internet. If you read it, it's got a lot of information in it that'll help kind of paint the picture. But it's kind of dry. It's not a good novel. But I'll give it to you like that. Yes, sir.
So I was going to mention, so the dotted lines, the solid line, that's the growth rate. So when it comes to population that we're going to serve, that's the connections that we have that are projected. So like he's saying, 1,000 to 1,200 year over year. So based on the water inventory that we currently have, we have a good cushion to about 10 years right now. So as the growth rate continues, we have to keep purchasing more water inventory rights to keep up that cushion that we never fall with curtailments, with shortages, that we always maintain a good stable supply at all times. So one thing I'll brag about too, with the way that Gage and the team has been working, Green Valley in Central Texas alone is the best positioned as far as water inventory. A lot of cities around us and SUDs do not have that same luxury. They are scrambling. They are planning now when they should have planned years ago. So we have had that foresight. We have diversified through many different platforms and partnerships how to get water, different types of water, different areas of water, so that we're not all bottlenecked in one area with everybody else. So the team has been great on that. The legal side has been great on that, making sure that we have gotten favorable terms. We're going to be making decisions this year, and we're going to make sure that we have enough padding for our own customers and a cushion on top of that, even if if every one of them curtailed, Edwards and CRWA and whatnot, the worst comes to worst, we will be fine. And we will be helping our neighbors out accordingly. So, and we already are, so.
John,
yeah.
I just wanted to point out also that along with the connection fees that we collect from new developers, all of these water projects are also, all of these projects to accumulate future inventory are also targeted to developers. We have a separate fee that the board has approved called a water acquisition fee, and that is the way Green Valley funds these new water development projects. That we don't rely on customer rates for that.
Thank you for that. And to his point, as the growth comes in, they have to pay a water acquisition fee. That water acquisition fee is,
7423.
there you go. So again, the max legal amount that we could charge the new homeowner when they come in, they're gonna upfront pay for us to go and purchase their water that's coming in. So it's not gonna hit our current rate payers. It's gonna hit the future customers coming in. They're gonna be paying for that portion of new projects and new water sources. So.
And
Well, thank you very much for
Thank
that.
you.
So one thing too, it's kind of a board's mission, you can go up there, is we are striving to be the best SUD in Texas. That is a very big undertaking, and we have challenged Gage and the team to deliver on that. Customer service side, we're almost at a perfect 5-star Google rating. So if you want to share that, click again, make it another 5. But again, like there's so many facets that we are striving, and customer service is a big one of them. Water inventory, the way we communicate, the way we take care of our customers, the cleanliness of our water. We have, in a good amount of years, knock on wood, we have yet to have a boil water notice. We have had no warnings or strikes against TCEQ. We're passing all our TCEQ inspections, so we are operating miraculously right now, a lot better than 5 years ago. So again, thank you, Mr. Gage, for all your hard work for that.
Thank you. And I'll just add, so you just mentioned fees, developer pays. This is Shan talking over here. He's our district attorney that was pointing that out. So Shan Rutherford. But on the screen I just put up there, I'll just review those fees. We've increased all these fees, and we increased the fees some more. So if you go down to where it says water acquisition fee, we just moved it, and we did this within the last 2 months. We moved it from $6,991 to $7,480. So that was not a large increase, but the increase we did before that was from $2,000 to $6,900, right? So what we're doing now is every year we review the fees for the developers before the board, and the board will decide to adopt a new fee. So what we're doing is, instead of shocking, think about it like shocking the market, where we shock all the developers with a $4,000 fee. No, we're moving it up as costs increase, and we're doing that every year. So we did that 2 months ago. The impact fee below $74.23, this impact fee is a little bit different from an acquisition fee. It's a highly regulated fee from Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, highly regulated. You can only change it every 3 years. We just moved it up. 2 years ago, we moved it from $34.90 to $74.23, and I'll swear on a stack of Bibles, that action took a year to get it approved through TCEQ. One of the reasons why we made our association to talk to our regulators and legislature, because you can't take that much time, because we got to get the revenue that we can get to build the infrastructure. One of the reasons. And then down there, finally, the kayak fee, that's a contribution in aid of construction. We use that fee for our sewer. And that fee, we just increased from $39.98, or $73.98, I'm sorry, to $79.83. Again, it's really accounting for the cost of materials and things that we have to do. So when Mr. Frias talks about the fees that developers have to pay to ensure that the cost of infrastructure are not on the backs of the ratepayer, those are our 3 levers that we have to pull. And Green Valley's pulling all 3 of them at the same time to make sure that we keep the cost off of you that's been living here since 2001, sir, and put it on to the folks that are putting the strain on our infrastructure. So I'm sorry, sir. I just wanted to cover that.
Good. Hello, my name is John Haft. I live on Wozniak Road. I am a Green Valley customer. We've talked a lot about supply. I was wondering if you might talk a little bit about what Green Valley is doing to address leaks in the system, because that can be where a lot of the water goes. I don't know, but maybe you could talk about that, someone.
Travis, Brian, you guys want to tag team that one? Leaks.
Yes, sir. So we've implemented a new system it's computer based. So as our personnel go out and they identify the leaks, they can input everything into the system, and we can track it in real time as we go forward. We've also our tracking system now allows us to identify what is known water loss and unknown water loss. Last year in 2025, we had 8% unknown water loss, which is above the standard. The standard is 10 in the state of Texas, so we were above the standard there, and we were on track to do even better this year. So using the innovation that we have, we're actually tracking our water loss significantly better, to the point where we're hoping to continue to get down. I'm hoping to be within the 5% range at the end of this fiscal year.
But one thing too is that they have a GIS mapping system. So every single time a water line leaks or breaks, they're identifying that. And if it's to the point where it's a habitual leaker, then they're going to take it out of service and redo the whole area as needed. So we're trying to be as proactive. The infrastructure in some areas is 60 years old, but we've identified those old areas, and that's a part of our master plans on getting those things addressed. So,
Yeah, that's where the sustainment and restoration comes from. There's a map out in the lobby here you could see, and it's got purple lines drawn on it. Other than the CIP will have orange and green, and that kind of indicates the years and sections will work on that. But the purple map is something we've identified with our maintenance crews, and we found hotspots in the system that continue to leak. And so we have a plan going forward for like commonly known areas, as John mentioned, that continue to leak or continue to break, to where we can budget in the future for those. And and the GIS has really helped us with that. We could clearly identify, and it's like a heat map. It'll show us, there's obviously been 10 leaks in 5 years in this area. So we try to attack those hot spots as quick as we can.
awesome. Anybody else?
So I would say too, just to put a point on it, right? If you ever want to, I don't know, when you go to bed and you can't sleep, you want something to read, look up water system audits, right? Every audit, and they're boring as heck, you'll go straight to sleep. But every audit, water systems, we get audited on how much water we lose, right? So you can look around at different audits to different systems, and you can see how much other systems lose. It's always in the audit somewhere. So if you ever get really bored, we get audited on that. But anyway, yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Susan Chambers. I'm one of the new people paying for the infrastructures. Because I moved here from the Clear Lake area of Houston. I'm shocked
Welcome
by
to
how
Central
much
Texas.
my water bill is. With that said, are you doing anything to work with the developers to minimize, not the, calm down, the dang non-native turf, the Bermuda grass? I'm really impressed with San Antonio water system with,
So, Jerry, would you like to talk on your water conservation concepts on that?
They're trying to throw me under the bus. But we have been looking at our water conservation system from the standpoint of what's the low-hanging fruit and what are the largest categories. So this gentleman's question went to the largest category. If we could eliminate every leak in our system, we would save an enormous amount of water. But to your question, Brian pointed out to us at the last board meeting that 2 months ago, they noticed that we had a significant jump in what we thought was unknown water loss. So we thought, we've got a leak somewhere, we have to find it. And then he went back and looked a year ago, and we had the same jump in water usage. You guys, and I mean that, in the most positive way, you guys and everyone else in the district started using 10% more water between February and March. Now, I mean, think about that. That's 60 acre feet in 1 month, all of a sudden, out of the blue. And what we discovered is, well, that's because all you guys started irrigating your water. I mean, your grass. You started irrigating your grass, and maybe not you.
not me.
But
I
HOAs.
used to live in League City, so I get where you're coming from, okay? But I escaped, as you did, and so we came up here. But what we know is that, yes, landscaping is a huge part of it. Right now, all we can do is encourage people to do so. We have talked about, and our Water Conservation Committee is relatively new, one of the things we're talking about is what can we do to incentivize our customers to do things that actually help us all in the long run. And you're right, we've got to get away from, I didn't even know San Augustine grass grew up here until I moved here. You can't not grow it in Houston, but it's not really a native grass, and it takes a lot of water. And when I moved up here, the house that my wife and I moved into already had San Augustine grass, so I said, well, I got it, I might as well keep it. And then a few summers ago, remember, we had a really long stretch with no rain, and we were under water restrictions, and I lost about half of my yard, San Augustine, because I wasn't going to water it enough to keep it alive, so I just lost it. And guess what? The Bermuda grass just came up. It just showed up. So I left it. My grass guy said, well, it's already here. You might as well, it doesn't take as much water. So you're right. We need to encourage people to do things like that because our largest, when you talk to people in the water industry, it's like if you took all the residences, especially if you have San Augustine and other grasses, it's like you're a farmer. I mean, that's the amount of water that we are using. And so we are looking at ways to incentivize that. We haven't found the right way. And you're right, Saws is doing a good job of that. They're way ahead of us. They're a lot bigger, and I guess they have more money. But we are looking at how we can come back to you guys with some feedback from the community and say, if we did something like this, would that be fair? Would that be helpful? And we just haven't quite figured out how to do it because it's a new topic for us. But we're working on it.
But also too, a lot of the regulations on landscaping comes from the cities as far as their building development codes, the regulations that they put on for their standards. That's if you're in a city limits. If you're in the county, that's a different story. So we're not a regulatory body. We cannot tell them you cannot put xeriscaping in there. We can suggest, we can incentivize, we can do things to help. Go ahead, James.
But the state of Texas has actually just changed some laws, such as an HOA can no longer mandate that you water your lawn. If your lawn is not green, an HOA can no longer tell you you're going to get a citation for this. That's something that needs to be put out, and people need to know. If HOAs are going to do it, I promise you, they're going to send you a citation. They're going to say water your lawn. You just need to look up what Texas has said and politely send it back and say no. Texas has also said you can remove your lawn. You do not need to have grass turf any longer, and the HOA cannot stop you. You can put in any Texas native xeriscaping, any Texas native grass, any Texas native trees. Cities also have some rules. I know Cibolo specifically has a 2-tree rule. So for every house that gets built, they have to have, I think it's 2 bushes, maybe it's 4 bushes, and 2 trees put in. But unfortunately, developers, I'm not going to mention them, we all know who they are, will find the absolute most garbage tree that they could possibly throw in there. And I'm going to say these oak trees that are all over my subdivision, which is Saratoga. They're absolute garbage trees. They have no business being in a front yard. They don't provide anything for any wildlife at all. But that's what they're installing. It's the absolute cheapest thing because it checks the block for what the city wants. Now, here's something else that you should look at your CCRs. You can pull that tree right out. Pull it out. Oh, it died overnight. Pull it out. Wink, wink. Because the city says you have to replace it if it was living and you removed it. But if it dies, wink, wink, hey, we're done. But so you can manage your
We're not
own
telling
kind
you
of,
to break the laws. So
yeah, you can
again,
manage your own water usage.
So
My issue isn't the trees. My issue is I don't like Bermuda grass. I want to rip it out and put in the native.
Take it out.
And I think I actually have to petition my HOA. But
No,
Oh.
Texas has changed the law. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Texas has
That-
changed the law.
Okay.
So the HOA no longer has the authority to tell you what kind of grass to put in there, and they have no longer have the authority to tell you only 10% of your lawn could be xeriscaped, because that's how our subdivision was for a while.
if you
Our
want to get
subdivision
your
was,
information to James, he
Yeah.
can get you that link to that so you can talk to your HOA.
yeah, you can
But
tell the
also,
HOA to stuff
a
it.
lot of the water wastage is a lot of the HOAs not taking care of their irrigation systems and whatnot.
well, I
So,
watch the water, they
just-
water their lawns
yeah.
and I see it going down the road. And
so we're very reactive as much as possible on addressing that. If we see it, we call it in. If anybody messages us on Facebook or whatever, we jump on it immediately. I mean, staff knows I'll call them in the middle of the night. Hey, we got running water down this road, and then they're on it. But one thing is reclaimed. We are really looking into reclaim use systems on how we can incorporate that into developments and going forward in the areas that are properly designed and engineered for those systems. So we're trying to do everything we can from our end to conserve water as much as we can. We're having to be good stewards in that regard. You have any other comments on it?
Well, I was just going to say, what we're laying out to you is irrigation is a major use of water. I mean, it's major. It's no joke. So Mr. Cummings just said 60 acre feet more than normal in March. And, I just showed you 2.5 homes. That's 150 homes. You just used 150 homes worth of water for a year by 60 foot of water. I mean, 60 acre feet of water. What's interesting is if we could, a lot of folks, and you know, if you're in the community and homeowner associations, all those things you may be in, really tell folks that the number of folks that don't know how to operate their automatic watering system is pretty staggering. And this time of year, we start to have customers call when their water bill's really high. 9 times out of 10, we send a technician out there. It is irrigation, almost like the number one thing. It's either a toilet's running or it's irrigation. We've got our meter supervisor out there in the hallway with our meters, and he'll tell you. He goes out on a lot of calls, you know, and sees a lot of folks, but you'd be surprised how many folks, and I don't want to insult anyone's intelligence. It's hard for me to use my automated thing too, but I mean, a lot of folks just don't know how much they're putting out there. But that's a big thing. We did also, you know, and I will add to what the board was saying, we have meetings with our developers too. Not long ago, probably, when was it, Travis? Probably in the fall of
November, I
last
think It
year.
was November.
It was November.
Oh, in November of last year, we brought all the developers in here. We set up a big round table in here. And I looked at them and said, guys, you got to stop putting all these big grass entrances and trees and bushes all in the front to make your front of your property beautiful, because you're killing us on water usage. You know, what could we do? And I threw it out there. What could we do to do something that's a little less consuming of water when we build these nice entrances and amenities? And the truth of the matter is, what sells, right? It's a market out there. And, you know, that's what the consumers demand. And I wish there was a way, and like Mr. Cumbie was talking about, to incentivize certain sorts of landscapes, so we could start doing something that's a little bit more responsible. But we have that conversation with developers. It's not just with our ratepayers. We brought them in here, and Travis, to tell you, I literally said, you dudes are putting in too much, you know, carpet grass, you know, and you know, San Augustine, and your entrances along the highway.
Bermuda, get rid of that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, at least Bermuda is like a little bit drought resistant, more than San Augustine for sure. I grew up in East Texas. I just drove through there not too long ago. San Augustine everywhere, it's beautiful. Too bad not over here in Central Texas, but anyway. And you'd ask a question about, did your question start with rates? I want to make sure we didn't miss that.
No, I'm just, like, I was surprised at my sewer bill, and I guess part of that is just the infrastructure cost. What I did have, one more question is, just out of curiosity, is what degree of automation do you have in these new wastewater treatment plants?
The automation, they're pretty self-sufficient. They run off of, you know, they've got 2 operators that run.
You have, what kind of computer? Do you have programmable logic controllers with an operator interface? Do you have a distributed?
Oh, what type of systems? Oh, this is
we run
totally.
off of a SCADA system for most of it, and it's mainly monitoring, and then we use transducer levels to, you know, kick on and off pumps, things of that nature.
So I got a treat for you though, ma'am. That young lady standing in the back of the room, her name is Claire. She's a Class A wastewater operator. She's got a table set up. She will tell you everything you want to know about wastewater treatment, right, Claire?
And more.
Please visit her when you step out. Thank you, ma'am.
Does anybody else have any comments, questions, concerns that we can address? Don't be shy. Come up, Mr. Gurman.
Stephen Gurman. I appreciate this forum tonight. This is very good. I just wanted to make a couple of comments on some things that are said. To the point about landscaping, I sit on several boards of, we talk about water. I'm like on Monica Dela Cruz's water committee, county to county. We talk about water a lot. Some of the Edwards committees. One of the things that's being discussed is that, yes, 40% of the water that's being used is still being used to water grass. Some of this comes because these developers that are building these homes are coming from North Carolina or Virginia or places where it's cool and they have water. So they bring their landscaping ideas with them. And a lot of, or some of the things we're trying to promote is you need to put fake grass around these houses, AstroTurf and stuff like that. It doesn't have to be watered. You can't, to your point, oak trees. Really? I mean, I don't promote that they ought to put a mesquite tree in the front yard, but you know, it's something that's native to Texas. The other thing that I'm just going to say real quick, I'll be brief. I have discussions with Phil on this, and I'm really glad that they're getting these SUDs together with the state of Texas. A lot of our problems are not a problem in this room or a problem in my realm or a problem in the city's realm. It comes from the state. It may be how our hands are tied. Y'all are forced to do water. Y'all are forced to do sewer. I can't stop a development from coming in as a commissioner. They tie my hands. I have a pair of handcuffs behind my back right now. So we need to go to the state, and I'll give you an example. You mentioned my father-in-law, and I appreciate that. There is a significant number of pipes in the ground in the Green Valley system that were pipes that they put in when Green Valley was established. They're antiques, okay? But the state, they can find all the water, all the money in the world for supposed new infrastructure, but are they going to help anybody out with replacing what's in the ground? And I'm going to put this figure out. Right now, and probably a lot of these people up here know it, if right now there's enough leaks in the state of Texas to where Austin, Fort Worth, El Paso, and Laredo would have water every day if you fix those leaks. That's how much water is being leaked right now. How about we fix that? How about the state come in and give us some grants and we fix some of this antiquated infrastructure? And one other thing I'm going to say, the 3 projects that Phil talked about to bring water here, they're extremely expensive. The GVRA one is one I'm very familiar with, desal, you know, like in Corpus and stuff. But to get that water here is extremely expensive. You're going to have some help with some grants or some loans or something to get that water here and also to speed up those projects. I'll just say in closing, one day we had a virtual meeting on Monica De La Cruz's committee, and when we got through, I talked to the Live Oak County judge on the phone, and he said, we're out of water in this area. He said, San Antonio's taking all the water out from underneath us. He said, yeah, we're rural, but we're out of water. And he said, what we need to do is get Trump in a helicopter and fly him over, because the state is just kind of piecemealing this around. Get him to fly over some of these lakes and see, Houston, we have a problem here. There's no water here, okay? And that'll help out all of us if we could just get some help with some grants and things like that. And I guess that that what I'll say in closing is, please, citizens, talk to your state legislators and say, look, we don't agree with what's going on. Please help us. You brag about this pot of money that you have all the time, but what are you doing with it? You know, are you helping out the citizens? That's all I have to say. I thank you for y'all's forum tonight.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, I think that's all the questions we have tonight. I'll just want to say, and then I'll hand it back over to Mr. Frias to close us up. We do have some rain gauges back there, right? I do ask for you to take a rain gauge. I figure if we all put rain gauge in our yard and we do a little rain dance, maybe we get some more of that rain coming down. Hopefully on Friday we will. So that's very good. So please take a rain gauge. Mr. Jason Baker's out there with the meters, our meter supervisor. He's standing in the back. He'll be happy to talk to you about meters or anything that he knows. A lot of experience. And of course, I already mentioned Claire back there. Please see her. And then we really appreciate you all coming out tonight. This was recorded, so we will be up on our website, much like every single one of our meetings are. And with that said, sir, back to you.
Thank you very much for coming. We greatly appreciate your attendance here. If there's anything we could do better for you guys, please let us know. Y'all have a great evening. Thank you.